like I said before, we're going to create the pillow, but I thought about it. I think I should leave that as an assignment for you guys to create yourself. So just create just 2 pillows right here. Just drop it however you want to place it. So let's go ahead and add the curtains. So how do we do that? In the download, in the stuff I sent to you guys to download, all this stuff are included in it. So you have the curtains are also included in the package you're supposed to download. So if you go to the Google Drive, the Google link I sent to you, that will take you to the Google Drive. So you'll find the folder for the curtains so that you just import it directly into your scene. So I'm going to show you how to import the curtains. So that curtain, the extension is in FBX, right? So how did I get that curtain? So I'll just show you some sites you could get, in case you don't want to build from scratch, like I said before. But it is important that you create this thing so that you be familiar with modeling before you start downloading stuff for yourself. All right, so quickly, while my browser is coming up, let me show you how to import. It's very, very simple. So import FBX. So that curtain is an FBX file. So you just click on FBX. It will find the folder where it's saved. So I saved my curtains. Yeah. So the place I saved it. So it calls room creation training asset curtain. So you'll find your curtains in your training assets in that folder called curtain. So click on curtain, import. So when that is done, just give it a few minutes. So while I check, so the sites to download the assets, some assets you may need. I'm going to include the link in the group. So it's CG Trader. So they sell good, assets there for you to download. So there's CG Trader. So this is still coming up. Okay, maybe it was that large. So this is the site. So you could just search curtains, right, and you would find amazing stuff to work with. There are a lot of models you could create. So a lot of them are for sale. So you can see find nice curtains for you to download. So you could click on the filter to get the free one. So I had to check for free curtains to get. So that's pretty much how I got that curtain. So it's cgtrader.com. I'm going to include it on the link. So let's go back here. So this is our curtain. Yay, amazing. So we'll go to our wireframe mode by pressing Z key. Right, go to the top view, go to our orthographic view. So we want to rotate this 90 degrees on the Z axis. So all you do is press R, remember R, Z, and 90. So it went to the opposite side. So what you want to do while it's still active, you press minus, so it goes to where the direction you want it to go. That's the window. So you take it down there. Alright, using my middle mouse button to rotate around along the 3D space. Increase this a bit. Alright, I think that's pretty much it. So we'll go back, press 5 to go back to our perspective view, so we could enter into the room and see how it looks like. Press Z to go back to your solid view. Alright, so it's not really positioned properly, so we'll move it into position. Alright. So that's pretty much it though. Alright, so that's how to add curtains to your scene. So if I wanted to take my time, I would create a curtain bar that's a rod for it, go in more detail about this, so but I don't want to do that in this class for the sake of time, so I'll just scale it up. I mean, it's pretty much what the camera sees at the end of the render. All right, so more like a cheat per se. I'm not saying you should start doing it though, but just bear with me. I don't want to bore you with too much, so I could select these two, right, and move it backwards a little bit. So all these are included in your training assets, so you just download it and play with it. All right, so what we could do this manually, just the way we did the bed sheet. All right, yeah, but I don't want to go too deep because there's a lot of technique to create this fold before you simulate. All right, and this is a really heavy material and it could take a toll on your system. All right, so we want to select this too and duplicate. All right, duplicate it. All right, I'm sorry you're hearing voices. We have some people in the office. All right, so I'll bring this a duplicated version this way, rotate it 90 degrees along the Z axis. All right, bring it back. Okay. All right. Sorry about that, guys. So let's bring it back a little bit. So I'm just moving things around. I'm just moving things around. So I'm just moving things around, right? So it's pretty much simple and straightforward. So import, move it into position till you're satisfied with the way things are. So the next thing we are going to import is the chair and the table. I also added a lamp, right? But I'll leave that as an assignment for you to import yourself and move it into position. All right, so next is the table. Let's save our work. Table. I also got this table from, so the table extension is OBJ, right? So you select OBJ. I also got this table from CG Trader, dining table. Right, so you select table for OBJ. So this MTL, it means that there's a material attached to the table, so it comes with the texture already. Okay, so you would want to leave this in the same folder, don't mess with it. So the way you copied it inside, so just leave it the way it is, so you don't mess with your materials. All right, the way you download it, you just copy into a particular folder you'll be using, because we'll be doing that texturing tomorrow. All right, so I'm going to teach you the whole folder arrangement by tomorrow, so you really understand the way it works. So you will import our table. So it's a little bit big, yeah. So you select it, scale it down, like down. Keep scaling it down. So go to our top view by pressing 7. Change from perspective to orthographic by pressing 5, so you see it's exactly the way it is, not in perspective view. Press Z to go to our wireframe, then move this guy here to position. So I want to place the table here. You could place it anywhere. I mean, you don't have to. There are no rules to these things. So, all right, there are no rules to this. So there are no rules to this. All right, so just, you can place it anywhere. You could place it here, you could place it this other way. All right, so having moved that to position, let's quickly, before we go to the solid view, let's quickly add the chair. So it's also included in the file. It's an OBJ file. Import OBJ. Let's go to our chair. Where is our chair? Swivel chair. Good. So this imports the same thing. It has a material attached to it. So we want to scale that down. Press S to scale. Go to top view. Rotate. That chair is really big. So just move it into position. All right. I don't want to spend too much time showing you how to create the chair, but it's pretty simple and basic. All right. though there are some techniques like the curve you're seeing here. It will involve using a few modifiers to tweak. All right, so you would want to, maybe I think I'll do a class on how to create your swivel chair, but for now we'll stick to this downloaded version. So let's rotate this guy a bit. All right, so let's go back to our perspective view by pressing 5. All right, then go back to solid view by pressing Z key, solid. All right, so tada, we have our chair and our table. Some people are finding it difficult to download Blender. All right, so we have our chair and our chair table. So that's pretty much the room, right? So go ahead, import the lamp. You can place it on the table and place it on the table, and create your pillow. So in the next lesson today, I'm going to show you how to pretty much light your scene basically, but we're not adding any colors or textures, whatever it is today. So you're going to see how the scene will look like, so you know what colors, how it's going to turn out when we add textures to it. So but quickly, let's dive right into giving our scene a little bit of lighting. Let's light our scene a bit. All right, so included in those documents I sent is the textures for your environments, the textures we're going to use for lighting your environment. So the way we are going to do it is that we're going to make your environment texture interact with your scene. All right, so it looks more relatable and realistic. So when you see cloud texture, trees interacting with your scene, so that's what we're going to do right away. So don't forget to always save your work. So let's dive right into lighting, giving our scene a little bit of lighting. So the way Blender works, so there are different rendering engines. So there is the Cycles rendering engine where basically it will need like yours a powerful system to pull through. Not necessarily, but it will take time for you to render one particular scene, right? Especially if you're not using a very powerful laptop. But there's also the EV rendering. So it was introduced last year. All right, so it allows you to see your scene or objects in real time. All right, so quickly I'll just show you how it works. So you just come here, render engine. So you select there's EV, there's workbench, there's cycle. So by default it's set to EV, but we want to change our scene to render, so it shows the way it's going to show when you render the scene. I don't know how to break it down to its granularity. So we're going to turn it from this solid view to a rendered view. So let's do that right now. So I'll just click render here. This is for rendered view, this is for material and solid. So it's coming up. So yeah, so this is our scene. You see it's darkish gray. So like you can see how it looks, right? You can see the color from the chair and the table. So tomorrow we're going to really take our time and add colors and textures to pretty much the floor, the room divider, light our scene so it looks perfect. So this one will just light this particular scene. Let's see it's in its like in a white color. So we want to go to our world setting, this particular icon, click on this icon to go to our world settings. So it sets to dark gray. So you increase this now to white, you see the way it is, but this is not what we really want. It's not what we really want. We want to use the world lights to interact with this one. So this is built-in Blender lighting for the scene. So we want to select this particular icon besides the color here and select environment texture. So when you do that, it turns pinkish. So it means that there's no texture applied to the environment. So not to worry. Let's raise this up to create space for some node setup. So you click here, come to shader editor, select world. So this is it. So there's environment texture, just the same thing here pretty much. So it has created an algorithm for you to play with. So this is called a node editor. Remember when we were setting up Blender, when we selected node wrangler, so this is like the node setup. So you click on open, find your texture, find that texture, HDRI. So it's an HDRI. So you want to select grid to find the perfect one. So I used several ones anyway. So I would choose this guy here. Alright, open the texture. So you see how it lights your scene. Wow, it's really nice. This is real time. I mean, you could render this. I'll show you how to render anyway. You could render this for your portfolio. Alright, this is real time rendering. So basically we'll just set up the Eevee, just do the few settings on the Eevee rendering engine. So the first thing you want to activate is the ambience occlusion. Alright, so it adds a little bit of, let's open this. So you could just increase this so you could see it interacts, the shadows just interacts with it a little bit. You want to skip bloom for now till we come to that. You want to activate screen space reflection. Hold on, you may have to be patient with your computer. All right, so it's really nice. So we come to shadows and activate soft shadows. All right. So we'll deal with indirect lighting. So this particular settings will enable us bake the world light to the scene. What that means, it takes the light and calculates it into the scene. Cool, really perfect. So imagine our textures on the duvet, colors on the base of our bed, the wall, the floor. I mean, this already came with the texture, the curtain already came with the texture, so we may not really touch this guy. So the chair, the table, our lamp, we're going to be lighting the ceiling by tomorrow, so it's going to be beautiful by tomorrow. Okay, so quickly I would show you how, just the way the scene is like this, I'll show you how to render this scene. All right, so first of all I want to get rid of this. So this relation is called relationship line. So it means that this curtain they are related to each other technically. So you just come here and press this and it's deactivated, so it's overlays. All right, so there are a lot of things you could disable. So let me open that back. So when that is active, your grid, this grid floor is visible, the X and Y axis is visible. All right, so if you open this, the grid is visible, this text, they are all visible. So when you deactivate this, all of that disappears, so you have the scene the way it is. So the way the scene is right now, let me just have a very good view of, you can see the texture we added, right? So using that lighting for it. So this view is okay for me. Okay, I'm just holding down shift with my middle mouse button to pan, and my middle mouse button to rotate. So this view is okay. So to just quickly render this, you just come to view, this view actually, view and render, viewport, render image. So when you press that, just give it a little time and it will render your image. So ta-da, you now have the image. Wow, so beautiful. Nice lights, you can see the shadows, it's really beautiful. So what you want to do is come to image and let's save this baby. So save as. So find the folder you want to save. So I want to save it here. So just name it work in progress room render. Work in progress _room render. So save that baby. So if I open my file explorer to find where I saved it, so I'll just come to document, bold academy courses, room creation, training assets. So where is my design? I can't find it. I didn't really take note of where I saved it, so let me check again. So I save training as a project file. Okay, it's in project file. So this is my baby. So open that up. All right. I believe we've now known how to render in Eevee. All right, quickly let's go into lighting our scene up. So I just changed from solid to rendered. I know your system will start dragging at this stage to show you Pepe. All right, so we're here. Okay, we're here. So the first thing we would want to do after adding our environment texture is to bake the light into the scene, right? And like I said, so that it will give it that realistic look, like a real world kind of, like this is, for example, this is a cartoony look for the room. So for that to happen, we need to add a prop. So we'll shift A to add light prop. So you want to select irradiant volume. So what this does is that it takes that light from the real world and calculates it into the scene. So it's just like name, irradiance volume. So let me explain it. Let me quit explaining it and dive right into action. So you can't really see it now because our overlay is being turned off. So this is what the radiance volume looks like. So if your system is dragging like mine, I mean it happens to anybody, this is the radiance volume. So but before we start tweaking that, let's go back to our render settings and activate simplify. So what this does is that it reduces the high definition modeling on your scene. So like the subdivision you added here, it just takes it down to its lowest. My battery is low. I'm looking for my charger. All right, it takes it down to its lowest level of subsurf or of subdivision surface, right? So we want to open this and activate simplify and reduce it all the way down to 0. So when you do that, it reduces it and you're able to navigate your 3D viewport with ease without it dragging and all. So with this radiance volume selected, you want to increase it to the size. So we switch from perspective to orthographic by pressing 5 or this guy. So you want to increase this radiance volume to the size of the room. All right, scale it on the z-axis till it fits the size of the room. Amazing. So let's switch back to orthographic. All right, and go into our room. So having done that, so while you can see the variant, the irradiance volume is still active. So you go to your back to your render. Sorry, I have sore throat. By the way, I didn't ask you guys how was church. For those who are, for the Christians, I'm a Christian. I went to church. I attend Covenant Christian Center with Pastor Poju Oyemade at Lekki, Lagos. Okay, some of you may not know him if you're not in this country. But he's a well-known pastor. So I enjoyed the service today. It was amazing. And don't worry, I'll give you gist on what I learned from church. So you can drop what you learned from church on the no, don't drop what you learned from church. Right? It's training. So just keep it to yourself for now. So until I ask, you can send it to me privately. Right? So let me get it so we don't digress. I believe you understand. So what you have to do is, while your irradiance volume is still selected, you come here and bake indirect lighting. Right? So like I said, it bakes the, not like what you're seeing now is the direct lighting from the scene, right? So what you want to do is bake the indirect lighting. That's the one from your background, your environment texture, like we added in the node wrangler, the node editor. So while that is still active, you just hold on. Right, so while that is still active, just come here and click on bake indirect lighting. So it will take a while to bake. Okay, so if you come down here, you can see it's baking. If your system takes time to respond, please be patient. Mine is a Core i7 3.0 gigahertz, and it's not afraid of you. It will be slow. So we are going real deep into CGI, into realistic, right, rendering. So like you can see, I'm using a 4K image, so it's really high. It's a high definition image. It's not a low definition image. So we'll have to chill. All right, mine is done baking. As you can see, it looks like a real ass. Sorry, no foul language. So as you can see, it looks like a real room. We are having the lighting from the environment interact with it.